Hello and namaskar, everyone. As you can tell, I have my little plant with me today, and it's because we will be talking about, activists, Desi activists working on the environment, climate justice, and other aspects of how, environmentalism can be. So we're waiting for Yashu to join. So today we have two guests, and they've already joined our live, which is awesome. One is a high school student in the Bay Area, and the other is a collective of students that have started their own website in the Bay Area. So it'll be really exciting to see and hear from the future generation of what is possible. All right, Yeshu's here. Okay, pin the comment. Hey!
Hey, what's up? What's up?
What's up? So already our speakers are already on with us, which is really exciting. Good job to them. They made it.
Right.
And today is about, our Desi talk is about activism. Desi activism, especially regarding the environment. So, or specifically regarding the environment. So obviously I am Srishti Prabha, the managing editor at India Currents. You can follow india.currents. You should follow my co-host.
Hey, everybody. I am Yashu Rao, plus model and confidence coach, and I am here breaking down stereotypes and beauty standards by empowering people to lead life with self-love. I am so honored to be here as your co-host on Desi Talk. This is just about the latest podcast on earth. Okay, so y'all better go follow us. Go to india.currents, hit the little bell symbol to get all the notifications when we go live for Desi Talk. And in case you missed any episodes, do not worry. You can go to india.currents where you can tap into the IGTV section and access all of the lives. I am so excited for today, especially because we have got some phenomenal guest speakers today, and I'm excited because, like Srishti was saying, we're hearing from a completely different generation, and to see the environmental awareness that our Desi culture is showing here in America in this day and age, I think that's pretty amazing. Okay, do y'all think that's pretty amazing? If you do, go ahead and drop it in the comments below. Show some love, drop some green heart emojis, maybe some of the environmental recycling symbols, if you will, just to show some love for today's topic. I know this month we're really talking about environment, sustainability, climate change. A really great topic that India Currents has picked out as their theme for the month, which we talked about last week. So I think today is going to be fantastic. I feel like we should just get right into it. I'm excited. I'm ready.
Yeah, so obviously all these things that we're doing are ramping up to Earth Day, which is on April 22nd. And we will be having a forum moderating a short video that will be danced by a Kathak company in the Bay Area and is shot by a filmmaker in the Bay Area as well, and it's on the topic of the Earth. So look forward to that for the future, but I just wanted to put that in here that, a lot of the stuff that we're talking about can be, confronted at from different angles. So this topic, this dialogue is not limited to one thing. We've talked about all the different ways you could potentially get involved, but I think you'll hear from two very different, speakers today, and they're attacking climate change from two very different spaces. So that's something to consider. I'm really excited that they're young because that is the future. And it's funny to say that because I used to be the young one, but now I'm not young.
I was about to say, you sounding like you 57. She's like, listen, no offense,
Girl,
57.
now I'm old. And now
Yeah.
I just have a young face, which is awesome. I will look young forever, but now it's the next generation's turn. We are the generation right now doing things to empower the next generation to lead the way. So we're here to advocate for them, and I'm really excited that they're going to come on. So should we start? Should we start with our
I think we should.
Okay.
Absolutely. and go ahead and introduce them for us. And y'all, make sure you drop some love for our amazing guest speakers. I'm just saying.
Okay, so our first guest speaker is Adarsh Ambati. He's a junior at Archbishop Midi High School. His smart sprinkler and fungal pathogen detection projects have won awards at the national and international levels. He is also very passionate about the environment and climate change and strongly believes that legislation, grassroots activism, and education are all necessary for reversing climate change. He hopes to promote climate change awareness by providing STEM education all through his nonprofit organization called Grow STEMs. So let me bring on Adarsh.
Oh my gosh, look at that resume right there.
Resume's already.
Making your Desi parent very proud. Okay, I have to see.
I see him joining.
Yes,
There's so much
that
suspense.
makes sense. I mean, okay, I'm about to drop some environmental Yashu in there, okay? Back in 2010, Yashu won an international gold medal for her environmental engineering project, okay? I'm just as Desi as you. Ha!
Hey, Adarsh. After that. Hi. So, Yashu, you want to ask the first question?
Yes. Well, first of all, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today for Desi Talk. I'm sorry, I got a little carried away with my stories there. I didn't mean to scare you, but thank you so much for tapping in today. You are doing some amazing work, and we definitely are excited to have you here talk about it. So go ahead and tell everyone who you are, what you do, what grade are you in. Give us the deets. Let's hear it. Tell everyone, where you're from and just a little background bio.
He's buffering.
Uh-oh.
It's okay. Technical difficulties are part of 2020. Others, you are cutting out right now, so perhaps your internet isn't great or your Wi-Fi. Maybe you should get off your Wi-Fi. I'm not sure what you need to do. But we've written an article about Adarsh while we wait for him on India Currents. It's called San Jose Teen Pioneers Global Biodiversity Project. So if you're trying to find what Adarsh has been up to, it's there. I think we're going to have to add him back on maybe. But
for sure.
You know what? Let's just introduce our next speaker and then we'll try to get Adarsh back on. So our next speaker, yeah, cool. So our next speaker is Ashwin Desai. He's representing a collective called The Incentive. The Incentive is a climate change news publication that uncovers how its effects are never too far from us and how it continues to influence our daily lives. So we're being joined by Ashwin, who is one of the founding members and leads the marketing department and runs operations on the website. So welcome, Ashwin. Ashwin, yes. Didn't want to say the wrong name.
Listen, we got so many A names this time. I'll be tripping. Listen, I got confused myself.
Hey,
is it me?
Hello.
Is this internet? Is this internet in California?
Hey, it worked.
Hello, guys. Thank you for the nice intro.
You're welcome. So, Yashu, let's start it. Let's kick it off.
Okay, we're gonna bring it in one more time. Hey, thank you so much for being here today on our platform. Go ahead and tell us who you are, what you do. Tell us all about you. We want to know about you.
For sure. Okay. So as Srishti said, my name is Ashwin Desai, and I'm the marketing lead for The Incentive, which is basically a publication of a group of high schools in my school that we created in order to educate and spread climate awareness to everyone in the form of short, digestible articles. And my role is basically leading my own marketing department and increasing the views of The Incentive and their articles in whichever way possible.
Where are you located?
I'm in the Bay Area, but we do have members all across the nation. Specifically, we have a small chapter forming in New York. So we're trying to spread as much as we can in order to attack climate change from everywhere across the world.
So where specifically in the Bay Area are you in the Santa Clara County? Cupertino. Okay. I always say it Cupertino, and I think that's the very Desi way of saying that. Okay, so tell us a little bit about, what kind of articles is the incentive putting out? What are you did say your efforts are to create digestible information, but I'm assuming
Mhm.
you're also talking about climate from a local perspective. So tell us about your work. Where are
So
you finding?
mostly what we do is we have multiple writers who scour the web to see what's the breaking news about climate change in different facets of the world, such as the government, new technologies coming, science, and how that's all affecting the economy and things like that. And then we interlate all the articles together to see how climate change is affecting us right now, and it's always affecting us currently. It's never too far to see the effects of it, and we should be trying to mitigate those effects right now.
Ooh, I like
Cool.
the way he said it. He said right now. If any of you guys are all about the environment, go ahead and drop a comment below. Let us know that you support the environment and are here to support the growth of
Mhm.
our land, right?
Yep.
Now, with that being said, I do have to like ask, right? How did you kind of get involved in this? Like what inspired you or what made you think like, ooh, I'm into this environment stuff.
Hmm.
Like I kind of want to know where your mind's at.
So, someone who has been to public school education, like throughout all my science classes in high school, we've talked about climate change, but I never really thought I had like a big play in it because I feel like we all have that mindset of like whatever actions I'm doing, it's not really doing too much in the environment. But after we did some research inside of my biology class, we saw like how each of our carbon footprints is actually quite large. And then after that, I became friends with Arun, and he had the same idea as well. So then him and his friends co-found Incentive, and I wanted to join along as a marketing lead because that's what I mainly wanted to do in the future is like interlake humanities and business together. And I thought this was the perfect calling for me.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
You're selling me your job right now.
Right.
Okay, so tell us, I want to know like one article that's like resonated with you that has been on your website, maybe one topic, one area when we talk about the environmental, change crisis,
Mhm.
climate crisis and stuff. Like what is something that is an actionable thing that you do?
For me, what we've done at first as a marketing lead, we've tried to go reach out to local middle schools and see if we could get science teachers to use our articles in their curriculum in order to like bring current events within their
Mm,
like their students to get to attack them when they're young, so they know like actionable steps in the future. Because like attacking climate change requires all the future generations to be on board as well. And for like the articles that really spoke out to me is mostly about like the new technologies that have been erupting and what are like ways like scientists and car companies and all those other technologies have been trying to attack climate change in different ways.
Gotcha. And I think that leads right into our next kind of like question, which was like, why should people care about your project? But I think you've said it so well. You're making the information, the reality,
Hmm.
right, of the impact that climate change will have, global warming will have, if we don't take, action on it right now. Um, is there, is that true? Like, is that why you think people should care about, what you do or follow the
Hmm.
incentive team? Like, why is it that we should, why should people join you guys, in this effort?
Yeah, of course. So as I said before, we're taking action right now because some scientists have said we only have like a couple more years before our cumulative actions of the past years are becoming irreversible. So as long as we get more and people on board right now trying to solve this issue and work together, it'll be a lot better for the future. And we want our plan to be as sustainable for as long as possible because we all live on this together. And even though like we live in developed areas, like our actions now could affect people all across the world, and we might not even know that. So I believe that if we work together right now, we can take short steps that really make you think about what you're doing and how you can possibly change your ways in order to help people, not only you, your family, but people across the world.
awesome. So obviously we want to put the South Asian lens a
Hmm.
little bit on this topic of the environment because that is what India Currents has to offer. So how does your culture or what your parents have taught you play a role in, getting inspired by the environmental work you've seen and then getting involved in it?
Hmm. So like since I'm Indian, of course, like I've been to India multiple times, and so have all my like teammates as well. And like in India, like the same like climate policies don't really play along. Everyone does their own thing. There's a lot of littering, a lot of pollution, and I feel like for some of our parents, those same habits might have crossed over here, not being too smart about or not knowing the differences between like trash, recycling, how to save water, all that stuff. So that really might have planted a seed in us, and I feel like that's our job to fix it. And
Mhm.
along with that, there are like a lot of like Indian festivals, such as Diwali, for example, where it's all about like celebrating as much as you can, having a lot of fireworks. But those fireworks also do cause a lot of pollution and a lot of smoke, and they have like a large carbon footprint.
Mhm.
So it's all about looking where you come from, seeing how, noticing what may not be as right and what you can do to fix it. And I
Mhm.
think that's very important. And that's how culture plays a role in incentive and like our works in that as well.
I love that. This is a teachable moment for young
Hmm.
people and, for their parents and then for even our generation. Because I'll say, growing up, I look young, but I'm not that young. I didn't have the language, I
Hmm.
didn't have that information. And so in the last like 10 to 15 years, the amount of information that we now know is significantly more.
Hmm.
And ways to mitigate it is totally different than what we used to believe. Like LED lights did not exist in the
Hmm.
way that we can now acquire them, things like that, like small things. So I love that you're talking about educating your parents and you're not getting mad at them, but it's like
Hmm.
an teachable moment, which is awesome. Yes, you want to ask the next question?
Yeah. Yeah, and before that, I definitely have to tap in. So, as you guys may know, I am doing my doctorate in material science engineering. So, a big part of what I look into and actually classes that I teach are about engineering design, and we do projects here at University of Florida on pollution and basically climate change issues and how we can, as engineers, specifically materials engineers, tackle it. And some of the interesting things that I've learned through this experience is like every cell phone, every device we got going on, every chip we have, rare earth metals, right? And then of course, like any manufacturing that happens, even for example, we recycle our milk cartons, but for people who may or may not know, and I know my parents definitely did not know, there's a grade at the bottom of your milk carton, and the grade of that plastic and then the grade of the cap of the plastic are different. So you can't recycle those together. You have to separate them. So for every person who keeps the cap on the milk carton or whatever when they're recycling it, it's actually taking away. So it's always beneficial to actually remove the cap and then put it in your recycling bin. And I found that very interesting, right? Because again, with environment comes up again, of course, capitalism and like finding the most efficient way of doing things and what's going to be the least amount of money being fluxed through things as well, right? So I just think that by having people like Ashwin here who are really talking about very everyday things, right? And educating your Desi parents, like I educated mine, about the little things like, hey, when you put this away, remove the cap. Or, for example, how many of you think magazines are recyclable? I used to think magazines were
Hmm.
recyclable. They are not, right?
Mm,
They are not. And so you have to make sure where, and once you take them and once you mix them into newspapers, that's it. You're ruining the whole set when it comes to recycling. And so things like that, which again, increase the price, which then throw off balance on the whole, system. So being knowledgeable or educated on these little things makes a huge difference. And I think that's the value that Ashwin and his team are really bringing, which I think is
yeah.
just fantastic,
Thank
you
you so
know?
much.
Definitely. Definitely. And I think we should just wrap up the interview really quickly because
Mhm.
I know we still have others to get to, but I think we can kind of you have to answer a few questions. So, what advice would you give to Desis that are now interested in getting into climate change and, working on the environment? Like, what is a small actionable step that they can take that's easy and, they can kind of get started? Maybe even just a small fact like Yeshu gave.
Mhm.
And how can we support your project and your efforts?
For sure. So I think the first thing that anybody can do is just educate yourself. And the best way like our team decided to do this is like everyone is a different type of learner. Like some people like reading a lot, some people like watching videos. So after you identify what type of learner you are, just like go through the internet and like there's a bunch of good material that you can digest, and it's very easy to like go through a lot of information. And after doing that, you can apply those steps to your own household. You could reorganize the way you do your trash. You can have you can have like your own schedule of like which person in your family does this section of trash per day in order to really make it streamlined and easy where it's not that big of a hassle in order to do this like a large thing that could really affect the planet in a positive way. And I feel like if once you educate yourself, that everything else becomes so much easier because you're so much more accepting of new ideas, new technologies, and specifically with climate change in that mind, like such as electric cars, if you're ready to adopt new technology. And just by educating yourself, you're leading yourself to a long way of change and positive benefits. And for something to do with like joining the incentive, if you really resonate with what we do, we're always looking for like new members, new riders, and like anybody who's willing to join the team to really make an impact for climate. We know we're trying to find new ways of getting different types of media to supplement these different types of learners. So if that's something that's very interesting to you, please feel free to reach out to us because we want to do everything we can in order to help our community and help the world.
So just give your ads where can we find you? What's your website? All of that.
Okay, so far I'm on this Instagram, so it's the incentive_USA, and our website is theincentive.org. So theincentive.org. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys.
Ashwin. Yeah, you can press that X button at the top and leave this interview if you'd like.
Perfect.
Thank you
guys.
again.
Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Bye.
Bye.
So that was wonderful. If you're interested in what Ashwin had to say, and in the next generation of climate justice advocates, go to theincentive.org. And Yashu put that very quickly right there. All right, we're going to try to get Adarsh back on. Let's see if it will work this time. That was a great conversation.
That was. I was going to say, I think the incentive and Ashwin have done a really great job and also very creatively trying to create environmental awareness, right? And I think that's so unique, as well as educational. As I always believe, right, like knowledge and value comes through education. And I think being able to have these conversations at home, and the part that he said, these are digestible reads, these are quick reads, these are not going to take you like a whole day. It's not a thesis, you're just going through. So that is super, super valuable in itself. So be sure to check them out, guys. theincentive.org. Follow them on Instagram at theincentive_USA. Thank you so much to Ashwin. And as we prepare to talk to Adarsh, hey, Adarsh.
He's here! Yay! Is it working now?
Hello. Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
It's finally working. Got the internet up and running.
Awesome. Okay, let's start with the first question, which is tell us about you, where you live, what you do, and a little bit about your project.
Yeah, so my name is Adarsh Ambati. I'm at San Jose, California. I'm a high schooler at Archbishop Midi High School, and I really love just conducting science fair projects in climate science and biology, and I especially love teaching STEM to the next generation. Yeah.
I'm a STEM educator myself, so yes, bring it.
I used to be in STEM. I graduated with a bio degree and I wanted to do ecological conservation work. My career took a hard left, but here we are talking about it, so it's great.
Well, that's because
Go ahead.
what I want to do is exactly what you were going to do. I want to do like ecological scientific research, and that's my like life goal, really.
I'm sure you'll succeed.
You can check out University of Florida. University of Florida has is one of the most well-known programs for agriculture and environmental research. So listen, sister can hook you up. Okay. With that being said, I'm gonna drop the next question on you. What is and you talked about what your background is in, but specifically, what is your project? Like, what is it that you bring into the table that you are here to share with everybody?
Yeah, so the initiative that I'm here to talk about is called Grow Stems, right? And so Grow Stems is really an organization I started in 2016, and it takes a really two-pronged approach to climate change. So we do things like first create general awareness. So we pass out like care cards that have information on how to be more environmentally friendly. We passed out, I think, my team of high school has passed around like 450 care cards over the past couple of years. And then the second thing that we do is that we teach the next generation of young scientists through STEM education. So we've taught over 100 plus classes. So my team of 8 high schoolers taught over 100 plus classes in the Bay Area to underprivileged communities. So like homeless shelters, libraries, through like different organizations. And we even taught like one summer like boot camps for science all the way in India at a Arthi for Girls homeless shelter, right? And really does is like it places a focus on STEM education for these underrepresented communities. Yeah.
That's amazing. And selfishly, I want you to talk a little bit also about your projects that you're doing in Almaden. So I'm actually from where he lives in the South Bay, and he did a really cool ecological project there. So can you just talk a little bit about it? Because I love that project. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the project you're talking about is like the amphibian biodiversity protection. So I guess it all started like after the Californian drought, and like in this drought, I live right in front of a creek, and in front of the creek, there were a bunch of frogs that I would hear every day coming from school, and then because of the drought, they just all disappeared, right? And so that was something that I really kind of took for granted, like hearing those the croaking frogs every day. And
took for granted. It's loud. Yeah.
That's true, but at the same time, like it's so silent. That's even weirder now, right? And so what I wanted to do is I started reading more about these frogs, and I realized it's not just the drought. The amphibians are also being like attacked by this fungus pathogen called Batrachochytrium dendrobatidis, right? And it's this really crazy fungus that's living in the Amazon, in places in Louisiana, right? And it's how did
it get here?
Yeah, we don't know for sure, but we think it probably got in here through like human transportation. Like it got maybe like spores of the fungus got on like a ship, then came into the United States, right?
COVID again. No.
COVID for frogs. You can chill. But it's a bacterial fungus, so it's not a virus.
Yeah, it's a fungus. So and what that means is that like it basically latches onto the frog's skin and kind of like suffocates the frog, right? And so what I noticed is when I read up on it that the best in class method to detect this fungal pathogen is a technique called polymerase chain reaction, right? And that requires a laboratory
PCR.
Right?
We've been doing PCRs for our testing, so people should know what that means. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. And that requires a laboratory setting, and that's not really useful when you're like doing conservation work in the heart of the Amazon. So what I wanted to develop was like little test strips, like, similar to like a pregnancy test, right? But you can take these strips and then go into like the Amazon rainforest, and then you can take a little swab and a little water and put it on the strips, and it'll turn a different color when the presence of that fungal pathogen is there. And I proved that you can actually do that, and I'm actually continuing that work. Hopefully I'll be able to get like the final product out soon, my hopeful goal. And then the interesting thing is that the technique that I used is not just relevant to only these fungal pathogens. It can be used for pretty much any pathogen too. So hopefully, like once I finalize the technique, the project will be complete and we'll be able to have a really cool impact. Yeah.
For sure. Awesome. And so, I mean, you talked about frogs, so I get it. My next follow-up question is like, why should people care about your project?
Yeah. So, well, I get like my project with the amphibian biodiversity protection, right? I think the biggest thing is that these amphibians, they're like keystone species of ecosystems around the world. We don't really recognize how these small in like niche area species are so important to like the survival of these ecosystems, right? So like the amphibians in the Amazon rainforest, for example, are fundamental species. They're actually called keystone species. And with the death of them, it threatened not just like the frogs themselves, but it could literally threaten the structural integrity of the entire Amazon rainforest. And that's like a huge...
people don't really understand the interdependence, right? Like for a lot of people think like, okay, how is one frog going to affect me, right? Or, people don't understand how maybe some species all the way on the other side of the United States or something is going to impact me. But that's not true. There is a certain level of interdependence that over time aggregates and it turns into a bigger environmental problem. Right now, all the environment, not all, but a lot of the environmental problems that we face in this day and age right now are accumulation of things that started way back when, right?
Yeah,
And so,
biodiversity is decreasing across the planet. So when biodiversity decreases, that just essentially means we're killing life, like tons of life. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, I mean, obviously, this, sorry, I cut you off, but the project is important because biodiversity in general, if you don't know anything else about the ecological preservation work, is just that you want biodiversity. Good,
Yeah.
biodiversity is good.
but also coming back, like this is not just the only thing that Adarsh does. So kind of coming back to your, founding company here and, what you do with your
Grow
bigger
stems.
initiative, right? Can you talk about, why people should care about that? And then also what resources you'll use to make sure that you're staying on top of the line when it comes to education or whatever it may be.
Hmm.
Yeah, so first off with Grow Stems, right? So I do like science and technology, and then I'm also like at my school, I do a little bit of like legislative action and other clubs. What I noticed is that we can do an innovation all we want, we can do legislative action all we want, but if we want to enact like large scale societal change, education is fundamental for that sweeping action to occur,
Hmm.
right? And that education starts with awareness, and Grow Stems thus has that two-pronged approach. I keep coming back to it, but it's really important, really. Like, we need the awareness, and then we need the scientific education. So what Grow Stems does, and something that is important that everybody should know, is that we try to get everyone aware of how you can be more environmentally friendly, how you can engage with the climate, and how you can preserve it. So even at your local home, there are different ways, like you change light bulbs, you can change the water tap filters, so it like doesn't drip water, and you can do all these different things that save water or save electricity and thus help save the environment. And so that's what we do with the care cards. And then through education, we teach the next generation of scientists that like climate change is not an isolated field. So we teach all STEM education, like so science, technology, engineering, and math. Something that we try to do in most of fields is that we try to find a way to connect it to the climate sciences, right? So if it's like biology, like we're doing bioinformatics ones, we might even try to connect it to like ecoinformatics, right? And so by doing that connection, we teach that the environment is not isolated; it's an interdisciplinary science.
Amazing. Yes, it definitely is. And now more than ever, everyone is having to kind of put their hands in science into all of the fields a little bit. I know that when I was doing my bio degree, we did not learn like statistics or, like big data analysis. And now that's like huge component of ecological work and a lot of the sciences. So I'm glad that like now, people have the insight, like kids like you are providing that insight to other kids to consider all the different elements when you're thinking about the environment. So let's bring that South Asian lens. How did your culture play a role in you becoming interested in the environment? Was it your parents? Was it what you saw in India? Like, how did your culture play a role?
Yeah, so with regards to like the environment, right? I was really raised under the principle of waste not, want not, right? So sustainability on fronts is like personally what I think is the core of like the Desi culture, right? My parents grew up in India, and my mom has like this agricultural background, and she learned
Mm-hmm.
there not to take electricity or water for granted, right? And so even simple things like not having your light bulbs on, or like not wasting water, don't taking too long showers, right? Like these things are ingrained within like me as like the son of Indian immigrants, and I wanted to apply that, teach that lifestyle to other students. And then with regards to like education, right? Like my paternal grandfather was like the first person in his family to become an educated engineer, and he was able to fight like the caste system to try to keep him as a farmer. My mom's grandfather, or my mom's father, my maternal grandfather, was actually disowned by his family because he wanted to educate my mother, and that would defy like this Indian caste system, right? So because of their legacy, I'm trying to uphold the value of education, and because I'm like a son of Indian immigrants who understand the principle of sustainability, I'm trying to combine those two fields of sustainability and education.
Wow, so
Amazing.
much wisdom from someone so young. It's so beautiful. I love it. I mean, it's the same battle. you said your family's in agriculture. My family was in agriculture in India, and Yashu's family is also part of the agricultural community in India. So you have lots of people interested in agriculture, and I think that was a huge component of Indian and Desi life back, maybe a few generations ago. So we all have that like green thumb, I would say. Like I still grow vegetables and stuff, and I know a lot of people are getting into that now. But sustainable, like local produce, sustainable farming, like those are things we should also be considering when you're thinking about, eating and thinking about the environment. So anyways, we should close it off. Yashu, is it my turn to ask the question or is it your turn?
I mean, I could wrap it up for you guys today. And basically, I just want to say thank you so much for being here, Adarsh. It was such an honor to just hear from you. Again, at such a young age, you are doing amazing, amazing work. With that being said, how can we support you? What can we do? What can our audience do here to support you and your initiative? Is it just me or is his thing buffering?
He's buffering, yeah. Maybe he'll come back. Okay, he's back. So
yeah, he's back. He's back. But we want. We can't hear him. Oh no!
No, speak.
Go ahead. Others can go ahead and drop in the comments. Go ahead and drop your website and also your Instagram page. How we can support you. Go ahead and comment it down here so that we can get you circulated with our audience.
What I'm happy about is that we got all the information that we possibly could from Adarsh before his internet crapped out on us. So Adarsh, when you get back on, you can click that X button at the top. Thank you so much for being on with us. It was wonderful to have you. And I'm sorry your internet's not working. Definitely put the information about what you're doing at the bottom. Both people that we interviewed today, we've written articles about on India Currents. I would love for you to check it out. And if you didn't listen to this whole podcast, maybe just take a little time and learn about the future activists of our, of our community. So the article on, I don't know how to do both at once. So Yashu's good at this, but I'll just say the names. So the article for the incentive is called Our Planet to Save, Teens Educate. You can find it on India Currents. And the one on Adarsh is called San Jose Teen Pioneers Globally Lauded Biodiversity Project. So, wow, I feel like that was a lot of really good information. How are you feeling?
I'm, first of all, really amazed, right? Amazed with these youngsters being so, first of all, educated, forward thinking. They not about, like littering, but on the reverse side, they're all about the planet and supporting it and educating. One theme that I picked up and I dropped in the comments is education. Both Ashwin, his platform is all about education. Grow Stems with Adarsh is all about education at its fundamental core. And y'all can definitely go check out the GoFundMe page to support local homeless shelters through grow-stems.com. Be sure to support Adarsh and his initiative. And Adarsh, we wish you all the best. I hope you get that patent to make that money come through and then continue to support the environment. And of course, Ashwin, great initiative and project. And listen, you said y'all was in New York. I'm curious to see if we can open up something here down in Florida, because Florida has an amazingly diverse ecological system here, which is so profound. And so definitely would love to stay in touch with you and see how we can definitely see if the incentive can maybe come down to Florida and see what we got going on here. But be sure to check it out, GoFundMe.com/F/GrowStems-Shelter-Fundraiser. I don't know why I read that out, but y'all can check it out. You can find the link and all the information at India.Currents. Go check out these articles, support these amazing youngsters. Let's do it. Come on, for the planet.
For the planet. And these are just two in the Bay Area. These are like hyper-local projects that are happening, and I'm really excited about it because I live here and I know we've had these wildfire issues, and I know that, Yashu in Florida, you guys have the hurricanes, and you have other things, the marshlands destruction, you have flooding, we have the same, a lot of things are happening. So I think to not be overwhelmed thinking about every element, you have to kind of think about how these kids are attacking it, which is great. They educate themselves on one thing at a time, and that's how we can all kind of move forward and learn from them. So you can go to theincentive.com. You can follow, the incentive. You can follow potentially Adarsh, but maybe not Adarsh. Grow Stems. You can go to Grow Stems and find out what Adarsh is up to and how you can support his work. This has been an enlightening conversation. I am so happy we got to have it. I'm honestly like what's the word? Feeling
Pumped.
inspired. Yeah, feeling pumped for our future, because sometimes even I feel overwhelmed with all the things that need to happen to make things better. And knowing that they're working on it to some degree makes me feel pretty good. So, wow. Thanks for being
Let's
with
close
me.
out with a song. Let's close
Okay.
out with a song.
What song?
I got a song called Earth by Lil Dicky.
Okay. Lil Dicky was not something I ever thought we'd talk about on this podcast, but sure.
Right. And it's actually surprisingly about like California wildfires and like everything. There's like a whole like initial segment to it, but let's start with the song. Wherever.
I'm a human, and just wanted to, for the sake of all of us Earthlings out there, just wanted to say, we love the earth.
Is this Lil Dicky?
We love the earth. It is our home.
Bye.
Bye.
It is our